Partha is now with us. Of course, he is, been with the coal industry for really long. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time for us. Sir, if you could just say that, I was just looking at some data which suggested that in the last 7 years, there has been two instances where July to September coal stocks have gone below 10 days. What do you make of the current situation, the noise around the coal shortage at this point of time, and then we can take it ahead?
Yeah, I see what you said is very correct. I mean, this is not something new that is happening, but definitely the gravity of the situation is slightly more in this case because more than 100 power plants have been affected. But I think all the difficult factors are behind us now and we are moving into a good time zone. The production has already picked up. The dispatches has picked up. Coal India is now in a position to dispatch about 1.5 million tons every day. It will be gradually stepped up to 1.6 to 1.7 million ton in the next 7-10 days. So I think the crisis should not reappear. I mean, basically the difficult days are behind us now. That's what I feel, and things should get much more better. Say by December end, and by March things will be perfectly fine.
Right. Generally in July to September, we see this happening. And probably in the next quarter, that is, between November and December, it tends to improve. What is the sense that you get? The good news will now start to come, or probably in the month of November, you should see things stabilizing?
You see, this month also there will be a drawdown from stocks. Stocks will slightly go down. I mean, we started October with an initial stock of 42 million tons. So I see that going down a little during this month, but from November onwards, the production and offtake should balance. From December onwards, the production should be in excess of offtake. That's the usual trend that happens. And as per what the Coal India projects, the September end stock of 42 million should settle somewhere around 60 million by the end of March. So that is the projection, and usually that happens. Even then, I would say they started the year with a 100 million ton stock. So if they come back to 60 million ton, that means during the course of the year, drawn down 40 million from stocks, and the production would have been supplied. Actually, the offtake growth is very substantial this year. And compared to the fact that for the last 3 full years, both the production and offtake were flat, I would say that this is a very impressive kind of performance. 20% growth in offtake between April to September. So that is quite substantial. I mean, Coal India, I must say, has tried its best to see that the crisis doesn't go beyond control. And the power consumption going up by 18%, 17% from August, etc. I don't think this is going to be a sustained phenomena. It will again taper off. So it should not be too big a problem.
Good morning, sir. For all the viewers who are tuning in and reading scary headlines about, is it going to be a black Diwali? You've heard how Delhi has now flagged the crisis. The chief minister telling the prime minister the private crisis is going to take place. Maharashtra is singing a similar song. Tamil Nadu has already resorted to load shedding. Punjab is doing load shedding, and they are all talking about it. Can you tell us when the coal shortage falls to just 2 to 3 days, as opposed to having it for 15 days, with industry supply being cut off, merchant power costs going up? The impact of all of this, should we brace ourselves for more inflation, for example, to start with?
You see, when coal stock falls to 2 to 3 days, you have to also understand that daily the coal supplies are happening. And for 2 to 3 days stock to come down to zero, it will take a long time because every day rakes are moving. Something like 250 to 300 rakes of coal is being supplied. So 2 to 3 days now should only improve because now the supplies are going up. Okay. And if they are doing some sort of power interruption in a planned manner, that is basically to conserve. That could be a strategy. I mean, people may do, but it is not a complete blackout kind of a situation. That is very, very unlikely. I don't see that happening at the time of Diwali anywhere. there could be some control, some, that always happens. Some way of dealing with the shortage. If a particular power station doesn't have that much of coal, it may resort to little partial kind of operations or control its operations. That is sporadic. That is, I would say, isolated events. In general, I don't see any reason why there should be a complete blackout of the country.
Okay, and what about this move that has been made of like allowing captive mines, whether public or private, to sell 50% of the coal? Do you think that's going to be good enough to at least tide over this situation, or do we need more of such measures? I ask you this because, look at the prices of coal globally, the way they're shooting up. Domestically, we are challenged logistically, the heavy rainfall, etc. It's a double whammy of sorts.
Yeah, I agree that there is one major problem which is there, definitely, which is different from earlier years or earlier occasions, is the steep increase in the imported coal prices, which is resulting in imports not happening. So there is certain amount of imports that do take place out of the, India consumes about 950 million tons of coal a year and produces 750. So 200 million tons is bridged by import. And out of that, something like close to 100 million tons is meant for power. But that 100 million ton import is affected because of the price situation and because of the inability to pass through the price to the consumers. That point is well taken. But at the same time, see, that is not the main sort of source of supply of coal. That has to be understood. And when coming to captive, see, well, it is definitely a measure, but the total production of captive is hardly around 55, 60 million tons. That is the quantity that captive produces, and it is primarily for their own use. Not many captive consumers produce coal beyond their own use. So their ability to produce excess and then sell, I don't know how much that will lead to what kind of quantity in the market, but in my opinion, it should not be more than 10, 15 million tons or something like that.
Correct. So just a last word. This time around, it's not only a problem as far as, the overall coal in India is concerned, but it's a global coal tightness that, one is consistently seeing across countries. A series of supply issue and strong demand has led to this. So do you expect more investments in the sector should be done over the next few years so that, this demand can be met going ahead?
Unfortunately, the global financial institutions, banks, everybody has actually written off coal. Investments in coal is now a strict no-no. We are all trying to keep coal out of the energy narrative and concentrating on renewables and all that. But the fact that that is not going to help at times of crisis has become very evident during this crisis, which is a global crisis, as you have rightly said. So I think there will be a rethink. There has to be a rethink, and people will have to, consider the situations in which investment in coal cannot be stopped. That would be at the cost of a bigger disaster, bigger problem. So I think this is bound to create some sort of a rethink among the global investors and the banks and financial institutions, and maybe some revised kind of a policy framework will come up in various countries. But as far as India is concerned, we have to invest in coal. I mean, you have seen the importance of the Indian crisis.
Right, Partha. Thanks so much for taking out time for us. That was Partha Bhattacharya, of course, has been a veteran as far as coal sector in India is concerned. On that note, we're taking a break, coming back quickly. Stay tuned. Lots more lined up on the other side. Reliance is in focus. TCS is in focus. We'll get you some perspective as to the news flow on these two large groups.